The morning inbox is unsure about Starlink's Toys to Life gimmick, as one reader takes a chance on Hollow Knight on Switch. To join in with the discussions yourself, email gamecentral@acmetro.co.uk. Please note, now that we're back from E3 and the schedules are getting back to normal, we are running out of usable inbox letters and readers features. If we do not have enough emails soon, we won't be able to run an evening inbox tomorrow, or the usual 4 readers features at the weekend. The amount of submissions do usually slow down during the summer, but hopefully with all the E3 announcements recently you'll have plenty to talk about. I'm going to go along with consensus and say it was a decent but not exceptional E3. Above average but not much more. My favorites were Cyberpunk 2077 and Resident Evil 2, which also seems to be similar for most people. And I don't know that so much that we're all sharing the same good taste, as there wasn't much else to really get that excited about. I wouldn't say anything was actively bad, but I was very underwhelmed by The Division 2 and Tomb Raider, both of which seem to be identical to the last games but with slightly different settings. Destiny 2 Forsaken continues to look very ordinary, and not something I'd buy, and both Call of Duty and Battlefield were suddenly looking very tired and out of ideas. I'm also really disappointed that Ubisoft are going back to yearly sequels with Assassin's Creed, and I have zero interest in the new one. Or probably any of them again, as it seems like we've had our once-a-decade reboot and that's it for now. Nintendo were also a letdown, as I have no interest in Smash Bros. And there really wasn't much else of note or new. That robot game at the beginning seemed to go on forever. As disappointments though, that's all pretty mild stuff, so I guess that's good. Although I was also a little upset not to see Splinter Cell and Borderlands 3. You warned Borderlands probably wouldn't be there, but everyone seemed convinced Splinter Cell would be. Still, at least Bethesda were good. Devilman fantastic coverage of E3. Really great work, although I must say, as usual, for me, the game one looked forward to most is Ghost of Tsushima. I enjoyed the Onimusha games back in the day, and to a lesser extent Tenchu. I enjoyed the trailer as it looked like something different to what's been made recently, and I liked the tone and setting, and it seems to be my kind of thing. So high hopes for it. Hopefully it is a PlayStation 4 game, as I'm not going to be looking to spend money on a new console for a good few years. I must add I was left a little cold by the prospect of The Last of Us Part 2. I enjoyed and finished the original on PlayStation 3 and dabbled in the online aspect a little, but I'm not interested in the new one. Perhaps nearer the time of release, after reading a glowing review, I might feel differently, but for now it's just Tsushima for me. Lastly, how did you find the difficulty to seem? I don't have the patience for Dark Souls-style punishment. It's just not me. So that may put me off, but on the face of it, I'm interested. Silverfox 75GC, neither game was playable, so we can't say from experience, but they weren't being promoted as being unusually difficult. I have to say, I've been a bit surprised about the lack of love there's been on GC over the last couple of weeks about the Just Cause series. They're not perfect, but they've also never pretended to be anything other than loud, dumb action games with some interesting mechanics. I was laughing gleefully during the trailer for Just Cause 4 when Rika drove his car into the heart of a tornado, then got out and surfed the car up into the sky. What other game gives you that? So there's one Just Cause fan around, at least. Sparky the Yak GC, we've heard from more than one recently. And we don't think anyone actively dislikes the games, they're just surprised they keep getting second chances. Email your comments to gamecentral@acmetro.co.uk. Cyberpunk 2077 does definitely look superb. Next gen title or not, it's going to be a long wait for that one. As a strictly single-player campaign fan, there are lots to look forward to. God of War now, Red Dead Redemption 2 next, possibly Spider-Man after that, Rage 2, The Last of Us Part 2, Ghost of Tsushima, Control, and Cyberpunk. God of War will take me months to get through, so people will be talking about the nanotech PlayStation 6 by the time I get through this lot. As someone mentioned the other day, God of War's leveling up system does seem very complicated. I admire its customizability, but when I find a new thing in a chest I generally just stick to what I've got if there are more red numbers than green on the bars. The world is packed full with stuff to find or kill. Looks gorgeous, well scripted and acted, top marks all round. Ralph, a few weeks ago I did something I rarely do. I bought a game without reading a Game Central review first. Runner 3 on Switch was the game, and the reason I didn't wait for your review was because it was cheaper if you pre-ordered, and I loved the original, although never played the second. Ultimately though, I was left disappointed and fully agreed with your review. I then did it again. I bought Hollow Knight on Switch. This time, however, I have been very pleased with my purchase. Absolutely loving this game so far. Every aspect of it. Will you be reviewing it? I'm not sure if you ever reviewed the Steam version. Keep up the great work, GC, Fatish Henry's GC. We did review it when it first came out on PC. We're not sure we'll have time to look at the Switch version as well, especially considering it came out in the middle of E3, but it sounds like it's just as good. Also, we definitely recommend Runner 2, it's everything the third one isn't. I'll stick my head above the parapet and say I'd like to see Far Cry 4. I played this after it appeared as a PS Plus freebie. I can see its faults. The main storyline is forgettable. It can be kind of repetitious. However, these are things that can be fixed in Part 4, not that I'm holding my breath. The actual mechanics, the grappling hook, using it to pull large items towards each other, causing explosions, infiltrating and taking out enemy bases, attacking bases from the sky with a helicopter loaded with guns and missiles, dashing around the living, breathing island in a fast car, all these things were tremendous fun. Put a decent involving storyline around that and you could have something great. DSBGC, you mean Just Cause, right? Because Just Cause 4 does exist, it was announced at E3. The Starlink game looks okay, but I'm concerned that the add-on Starship on the Joy-Con grip will ruin the enjoyment of the game. It makes the controller look really clunky and will spoil it. Did you guys get hands-on with it, and can I use my Pro controller without the added-on Starship bits? Can I just scan the bits in like Amiibo? Awaz_007 and NID, GC, we did play it at E3 and found it to be surprisingly ambitious and enjoyable. We're not sold on the toys to life aspect either, but we'll try and clarify these issues when we do our write-up. Catch up on every previous games in box here. Good interview with the Rage 2 guy, as usual, but since I'm not very interested in the game, one thought the most revealing thing is when you both started discussing The Last of Us Part 2 and he mentioned other people had already told him it was looking problematic. Surprising to me how much the internet seems to have turned against the game, not angrily but just you get the impression that Naughty Dog has gone too far. I don't think it's even the violence so much as the grim, depressing mood. I just don't think it's what people want at the moment, which is not something games usually think about. You could argue that the reason superhero movies, especially bright and optimistic ones, are popular at the moment is because we live in dark times and it's nice to fantasize that there are real heroes that can solve problems relatively easily. We already live in dark, violent world. You don't need to play a video game to play out that fantasy, just turn on the news. That's why I think The Last of Us Part 2 might not do as well as people originally assumed. Unless things turn out rosy in the next year or so, then maybe it'll be the change of tone we can appreciate. Jastrin PS, also, isn't Ellie smiling at the end because she's just reminiscent over her latest set of murders, as her girlfriend reminds her that she's a heartless killing machine? Young love. I'm not sure what the point is in making gaming addiction an official disorder. Can't anything be addictive if you're so inclined? Riblash only really just started God of War, but the Leviathan axe is already giving the gravity gun from Half-Life 2 a run for its money as the best video game weapon. Sam, this year's E3 has just ended, and so there's only one obvious subject for this weekend's inbox. What did you think of it, and what game do you think looked the best? Dozens of new games were seen in detail for the first time, but which ones were you most impressed by, and what did you find of disappointment? Which company do you think put on the best E3 conference, and do you think there was a definitive winner of E3 2018? How do you think this E3 compared to previous years, and what were you the most disappointed to find wasn't at the show? Please make it clear in your email whether your message is intended for the hot topic itself or just the weekday inbox. Email your comments to gamecentral@acmetro.co.uk. The small print new inbox updates appear twice daily, every weekday morning and afternoon. Readers' letters are used on merit and may be edited for length. You can also submit your own 500 to 600 word 4-player viewer features at any time, which if used will be shown in the next available weekend slot. If you need quick access to the Game Central channel page, please use www.metro.co.uk/games, and don't forget to follow us on Twitter.